I didn't expect our last night in the apartment to feel like a funeral. There was no real ceremony, no packed crowd or heartfelt speech. Just a couple of empty beer bottles on the coffee table, the dull hum of the fridge in the kitchen, and me, sitting cross-legged on the worn-out couch, watching my straight roommate throw his hoodie into a cardboard box like it didn't mean anything. Tomorrow, we'd go our separate ways. He had a job offer in Chicago. I had grad school in Boston. After 2 years of sharing this cramped, weirdly homey apartment, it was over. Just like that. I kept telling myself it was fine. We were just roommates. We were always supposed to go back to our own lives. That was the deal. But then he laughed at something dumb I said, something about the box being too small for his ego, and I caught myself looking too long. Again. I knew every shade of his smile by now. The cocky half grin when he was teasing, the crooked one when he was tired, and this one, soft, relaxed, like he was letting his guard down. And I hated how much I liked it. His name was Ryan. Ryan, with his stupid good looks and his stupid messy hair that never listened to gravity. He played guitar in the evenings, mostly for fun, but sometimes I'd stand in the kitchen pretending to wash dishes just to listen. We met through a mutual friend who bailed last minute on the lease, and the rest, as they say, was history. Or maybe just unresolved history. I never told him. Of course I didn't. You don't tell your straight roommate that the reason you keep dodging dates is because you're stupidly, silently, endlessly falling for the guy who shares your Netflix account and steals your cereal. But now, as our time together ticked down to hours, that tight feeling in my chest wouldn't go away. I thought I'd feel relief, freedom even. Instead, I felt like something important was slipping through my fingers, and I couldn't stop it. "Hey," Ryan said, ruffling his hair as he flopped beside me, legs stretched out. "You good?" I nodded quickly, too quickly. "Yeah. Just weird, you know? The end of an era." His knee brushed mine. He didn't move it away. "Yeah," he said softly. "It is." And just like that, everything I wasn't saying echoed in the silence between us. Ryan and I were never supposed to click the way we did. The first week we moved in together, I assumed we'd just coexist, like two strangers with keys to the same fridge. But it didn't take long for the silence to crack. It started with dumb stuff, arguing over the best cereal brand. He was tragically loyal to Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Late-night Mario Kart battles that got so competitive we kept a whiteboard tally, and shared rants about our building's ancient water heater that made showers either freezing or boiling with zero warning. He made things easy in a way no one else ever had. I didn't have to try around him. I didn't have to explain my weird habits or overthink my jokes. He got them. He got me. One night early on, he came home soaked from the rain, completely forgetting his umbrella, and I tossed him a towel without even looking up from the couch. He just grinned and said, "You're already better than my ex." From then on, we started joking that we were the best couple who never dated. It was a joke, but sometimes I wondered if it wasn't. Like the time he fell asleep on the couch, during our Stranger Things marathon, head tipped toward me, breath soft and steady. I could have moved. I could have nudged him awake. Instead, I just sat there, heart thudding, watching the light from the TV flicker across his face like he was made of something holy. That night still comes back to me, especially now. "So, what time's the flight?" I asked, nudging his foot with mine as we lay on the couch, his box half packed beside us. "Early. Like stupid early." "You?" "Noon," I said, a little too quietly. He stretched, his t-shirt rising just enough to show the line of skin above his waistband. I looked away. "I still can't believe it," he said. 2 years in this dump. End of an era, huh? Feels weird, I admitted. Like, it's not real yet. He gave me a sideways glance, unreadable. "Yeah." There was something in his voice that made me want to press. But I didn't. I couldn't. Not when I didn't know where we stood. Not when he was still the guy who once drunkenly flirted with our neighbor just to make me laugh. "You still sure about crashing on the floor tonight?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "I mean, I can take the couch." "No way," he said. "You've done all the packing. I'm not kicking you out of your bed on the last night." "It's not kicking me out. It's sharing." He paused, smirked. "What, you want me in there with you?" I laughed, but my throat tightened. I was joking, man. "Sure you were," he said, but his tone had shifted. Lighter, maybe, but quieter too. The small complication came in the form of my dumb air mattress that refused to hold air for longer than an hour. We'd brought it out for his temporary floor bed, since my mattress was already the only thing left untouched in my room. That night, as we brushed our teeth side by side for the last time, the whine of the deflating mattress could already be heard from the living room. Ryan spat into the sink and looked over at me with a sheepish grin. "If I wake up on the hardwood tomorrow, I'm suing." I shrugged, suppressing a smile. "Told you we could share." Another long pause. He looked at me through the mirror, and for a second everything felt still. His voice dropped a little. "You're serious?" I dried my hands on the towel, not meeting his eyes. "I mean, it's a big bed." He didn't answer right away. He just nodded slowly, lips pressing together like he was considering something bigger than sleep arrangements. "All right," he said. "Just don't snore on me." No promises. And just like that, the line we'd never crossed felt one step closer. We climbed into bed a little after midnight. Most of the apartment was already packed into boxes, so the room felt hollow, like a shell we were leaving behind. My nightstand lamp was the only light left, casting a soft golden glow across the walls. Ryan pulled off his hoodie and tossed it toward the nearest box, missing by a mile. He wore a faded gray t-shirt and athletic shorts. Nothing new, nothing special. And yet, my pulse reacted like he was shirtless. He pulled back the covers and sat on the edge of the bed, glancing over his shoulder. "You sure you're cool with this?" "Yeah," I said quickly, maybe too quickly. "Totally, it's just sleep." He nodded like he believed me, but the way he hesitated before lying back made me wonder. We lay there in silence for a while, both of us on our backs, eyes fixed on the ceiling. The air was thick with things unsaid. My heart wouldn't settle. It thudded in my chest, every beat a reminder that I was mere inches from the one person I'd spent the last 2 years trying not to fall in love with. And I'd failed. Completely, I'd memorized the shape of him in ways I never meant to. The way his voice softened when he was exhausted. The dimple that only showed up when he laughed too hard. The scent of his shampoo, subtle but warm, that lingered in the bathroom after his showers. It was all stored somewhere deep inside me, like I'd been preparing for this moment without knowing why. "You remember that first night?" he asked suddenly, voice low in the dark. "When we moved in?" I turned my head toward him. "The one where we argued about pizza toppings for an hour?" He grinned at the ceiling. "Exactly. You were so offended I didn't like mushrooms." "I still am." He laughed quietly, then went quiet again. "Feels like forever ago." "Yeah," I said, softer than I meant. "It does." Another beat of silence. Then he shifted, rolled onto his side to face me, and I felt it. The warmth of his body closer now, the weight of his gaze lingering. I turned toward him too, slower, cautious. Our knees bumped beneath the blanket, and neither of us moved. His eyes found mine. "You ever think about how weird it is?" he asked, voice even lower now. "How close we got," I swallowed. "Yeah, sometimes." He didn't look away. "Like, I never thought I'd be living with someone who actually knows all my dumb habits, or that I'd miss it. Miss you." I blinked. "You'll miss me?" His laugh was almost a whisper. "Of course I will, dude. Who else is going to call me out when I eat peanut butter with a spoon? The smile tugged at my lips, but my chest ached. There was something too honest in the way he said it, like the mask had slipped just a little. He reached up, rubbing the back of his neck. I mean, I know we're moving on and stuff, but I don't know. This sucks. Yeah, I said, barely breathing. It does! Our legs brushed again under the covers. This time, I didn't pull away, neither did he. I didn't know what to do with the electricity humming between us. My mind was shouting warnings. He's straight, he's leaving, don't ruin it. But my heart was louder. And my body, well, my body was painfully aware of every inch of space between us. Or rather, the lack of it. He let out a breath. I'm not gonna lie, man. This is weirdly emotional. Didn't expect that. I nodded, throat dry. Same. He looked at me, really looked. You okay? And God, I wanted to tell him that I wasn't, that I didn't want him to go, that this hurt more than I could admit. But instead, I said, I'm fine. His brows pulled together. You sure? 'Cause you've been acting kinda off lately. I opened my mouth, closed it, then gave him a half smile. Just tired. Pause. Then he did something that shattered me. He reached out and rested his hand lightly on my arm. Not in a big, obvious way, just a quiet gesture, simple, gentle. His thumb brushed the skin like he didn't even realize he was doing it. Okay, he said, eyes still on mine. But if you ever want to talk, I'm here. Even if I'm not, like here. My breath caught. I wanted to lean in. I wanted to close the distance and tell him everything, that I'd fallen for him. That the reason I'd never dated was because no one else measured up to the way he made me feel, even without trying. But I didn't, because I was terrified. Terrified that he'd pull away. That this was just his kindness and not more. So, I stayed still. Let his hand linger for a moment longer. And then he pulled it back and rolled onto his back again, exhaling hard. I turned too, facing the ceiling once more, my chest tight. And yet, even with his body turned away, his knee stayed, pressed lightly against mine beneath the covers. Neither of us moved it. I didn't sleep. Ryan did, for a little while at least. I could tell by the way his breathing evened out, by the occasional twitch of his fingers beneath the covers. But even then, our knees still touched under the blanket, like neither of us could quite let go. And me? I lay frozen beside him, my thoughts moving in endless, painful circles. I knew what I wanted. I'd known it for months, probably longer than I cared to admit. But knowing and saying were two entirely different things. What could I even say that wouldn't ruin everything? Hey, remember when we were brushing our teeth last week and you laughed at my toothpaste brand? Yeah, I wanted to kiss you then. Yeah. No. That would go great. I shifted slightly, trying not to wake him, but the bed creaked. His breathing changed. He stirred, then turned toward me, blinking. Hey, he said, voice groggy. You still up? Yeah, I whispered. He rubbed at his eyes. Can't sleep? Not really. He propped himself up on one elbow. You're fidgeting like crazy. Sorry. Ryan looked at me for a long second. Then, with surprising gentleness, he said, What's going on with you, man? I hesitated, swallowed. It's nothing. Just a lot on my mind. He didn't look convinced. You've been weird lately. My stomach clenched. He sat all the way up now, his side pressed against the pillow between us. His brow furrowed in quiet concern, voice softer than before. Is it about the move? Partly. Ryan waited. Let the silence hang just long enough to make it unbearable. So I said the first thing that felt real. I don't want things to change. He frowned, confused. What do you mean? I sat up too, pulling my knees up loosely to my chest beneath the covers. I mean, us, living together. Joking around, hanging out at night, ordering junk food at 2 a.m., watching movies half asleep on the couch. My voice cracked. It's been the best part of my life in a really long time. Ryan blinked. Yeah, same. But it's not. Just that. The words were unraveling faster now, like a thread I couldn't stop pulling. I think I'm scared because I know I'm not just going to miss you like a roommate. The room went still. Ryan stared at me. My heart hammered. I'm going to miss you like something else. I finished quietly. He looked down. Like what? I forced the words out, each one a small surrender. Like someone I feel too much for. And I know you're straight. Or you were. Or maybe you still are. I don't know. And maybe I shouldn't say anything because I don't want to ruin what we have, but I can't keep pretending like I don't. Like I haven't. I broke off. The silence pressed down like weight. My hands were trembling. Then Ryan whispered, "You have feelings for me?" I nodded, barely. His gaze searched mine, and for the first time, I couldn't read him. I didn't mean for it to happen, I added quickly. It just did. Being close to you every day, it made me realize things I didn't even want to admit to myself at first. I waited for him to move, to say something, anything. But he just sat there, eyes locked with mine, chest rising and falling like he was trying to decide if he could breathe again. Finally, he spoke. Quietly. I didn't know. I didn't want you to. Why? Because if you knew, maybe you'd pull away, and that would hurt more than anything. His mouth opened like he wanted to respond, but nothing came. My throat tightened. Look, I'm not asking for anything. I don't expect you to feel the same. I needed to say it before I lost the chance. I didn't want to leave here without you ever knowing how important you were to me. Ryan swallowed hard. You're important to me, too. But not in the same way. I didn't say that. He exhaled, his hands gripping the edge of the blanket. It's not that simple, okay? I've never thought about another guy like that before. Not until lately. My heart stuttered. Lately? He nodded, eyes flicking to mine, then away. I didn't get what was going on. I thought I was just being sentimental. You know, getting weirdly emotional about moving out like some kind of breakup. He laughed, but it was humorless. But it wasn't just that. I stared at him, breath caught. I kept thinking about you, he said, barely above a whisper. Not just roommate stuff, like the way you laugh at your own jokes, or how you always leave the fan on even when it's freezing, or how your face looks when you're lost in a movie. I didn't move. Couldn't. And I caught myself wondering, he said, what it would be like to kiss you. The silence after that was deafening. You did? I finally said, my voice raw. He nodded slowly. Yeah. My chest ached. He leaned closer. I don't know what that means for me. I don't know what I am or what this is. But when you said you didn't want things to change... He hesitated. I don't either. The space between us had shrunk. Our knees touched again, then our shoulders. Our faces were inches apart. And still, neither of us moved, until he whispered, "Can I try something?" My heart thudded. Yeah. He leaned in, slow and hesitant. I met him halfway, our lips brushing in a breathless, unsure kiss. It wasn't polished. It wasn't perfect. It was better. It was real. The second kiss came easier, softer, longer. His hand slid to the back of my neck, pulling me closer like he didn't want to let go. When we finally parted, he rested his forehead against mine. His Breath was warm, shaky. That okay? He asked. I couldn't help the small, helpless smile that broke across my face. Yeah, that was more than okay. He exhaled. Good. Because I've wanted to do that for a while now. We lay back down, this time facing each other. His fingers found mine beneath the covers and held them, tentative but firm. Neither of us said much after that. We didn't need to. Everything I'd held back for so long had finally found its place. In his hands, in his kiss, in the space between us that no longer felt like a void. It felt like a beginning. The next morning I woke up with Ryan's arm around my waist. For a second, I didn't move. I just stared at the ceiling, letting the warmth of him soak in, feeling the rise and fall of his chest pressed against my back. His hand was splayed over my stomach like it had found its place there naturally in the middle of the night, and forgot to let go. It was the kind of thing I'd daydreamed about for months, and now it was real. I turned slowly to face him. He blinked awake, hair sticking, out in all directions, eyes still soft with sleep. When he realized how close we were, he smiled, tentative, a little crooked. Hey, he murmured. Hey. Neither of us moved apart. I wasn't dreaming, right? He asked, voice rough from sleep. I smiled, just barely. Not unless we both had the same dream. He looked down, then back at me. That was real, huh? Yeah, very. His eyes dropped to my lips like the memory was still fresh. Good. The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was warm, full. His fingers brushed lightly against my side, tracing invisible shapes, like he didn't even realize he was doing it. So, I said after a moment, does this mean you want to kiss me again? Or was last night a one-time experimental thing? He rolled his eyes. God, you're annoying. You kissed me. That's your problem now. Ryan smirked. I'll own that. He leaned in and pressed a slow, lazy kiss to my mouth. I melted into it without hesitation, one hand finding his jaw, the other sliding around his back. When we finally pulled apart, he rested his forehead against mine. This is new, he said quietly. Yeah, but it feels right. It does, he said. Then, more softly, I'm still scared, though. Of what? He hesitated. Of messing it up. Of not knowing what I'm doing. Of people maybe not understanding. Of me not understanding. I let my hand trail down his arm. That's okay. You don't have to have all the answers right now. I sure as hell don't. Ryan laughed under his breath. Well, that's a relief. We can just take it one day at a time, I said. Figure it out together. He nodded. I want that, with you. That admission hit me harder than I expected. My chest tightened in the best way. I've been replaying last night in my head, he added. Not just the kiss, everything you said. I didn't know you felt that way for so long. I smiled sheepishly. You weren't exactly making it easy to tell. What? Me walking around shirtless in the apartment didn't give you all the signs? I swatted his arm playfully. You're the worst, he grinned. And yet, here you are, still in my bed. That's your fault. I'll take the blame. There was something light between us now, something that had been buried under tension for so long. With the weight lifted, it felt easier to laugh, to touch, to just be. His fingers threaded with mine, his thumb brushing lazy circles over my knuckles like it had always been second nature. You think it's going to be weird? He asked after a moment. Moving out, not seeing each other every day? I nodded. Probably, but we'll figure that out too. I guess I'll just have to visit a lot. Or, I said, trying to sound casual but feeling my heart skip. We could not do long distance? Ryan raised an eyebrow. You want to move with me? I want to see where this goes, and I want to be where you are. So yeah. He blinked at me, then smiled, soft, open, real. Okay. He kissed me again, slower this time, more certain. And when we lay back down, wrapped in each other under the morning light, it didn't feel rushed or fragile or uncertain. It felt like the start of something we were both finally ready for. 2 weeks later, we stood at the front door of our apartment, boxes stacked by the walls, the living room half empty, echoing with that strange quiet that comes before change. Ryan tossed me a roll of tape, smirking. You labeled your box kitchen. Stuff plus trauma? Seriously? I shrugged. Hey, that blender has seen things. He grinned, but then his expression softened as he looked around. It's weird, isn't it? Leaving this place. Feels like the walls still remember us. They probably remember all your 2 a.m. karaoke, I said. They definitely remember you crying during that one Pixar movie. That was up, and if you didn't cry, you're the one who's broken. He laughed, and I watched the way his eyes crinkled when he did, how comfortable that sound had become to me. Even now, with everything changing, he still felt like the safest thing in the room. We'd decided. I was going with him. Not because we were rushing anything, but because it felt right. The idea of not waking up next to him, not sharing coffee, and lazy Sunday mornings, it already felt wrong. I packed the photo, he said, nodding toward his backpack. Our ridiculous Polaroid from the beach? I asked. He nodded. You look like a drowned rat in it, but I like it. It's the smile, I said, suddenly quieter. We both look happy. He came over then, slipping his arms around my waist. That's because we were happy, are. I leaned into him, resting my chin on his shoulder. I know moving's gonna be stressful. New city, new place, no couch. Hey, he cut in. We'll get a couch. And maybe this time you won't insist on one that looks like it was dragged out of your grandma's attic. It had character. It had dust mites. I chuckled. Fine, no old couches. But I'm keeping the stupid toaster. The one that burns every piece of bread? Exactly, it's tradition. We stayed like that for a moment, holding each other among the cardboard and half-packed memories. Then he reached into his back pocket and pulled something out. A small key on a ring. He held it between us. For you. Spare key to the new place. I stared at it for a second longer than I meant to. It wasn't just a key, it was a symbol. A door opening, a choice made. I took it and slid it onto my own key ring, letting it click into place beside my dorm key and a scratched-up bottle opener. Now it's official. Ryan nodded. Yeah, we're doing this. Together, I said. He pulled back just enough to meet my eyes. Hey, I'm glad you told me that night. I think about it a lot. Me too. It changed everything. No, I corrected gently. It revealed everything. We were already heading here. We just didn't know how to say it yet. His expression warmed. He kissed me, soft and slow. Not rushed, not driven by uncertainty. Just two people who had finally found the same page in the same chapter. And when we pulled apart, he whispered, I don't know what's ahead, but I want you with me through all of it. I took his hand in mine. You've got me. We stepped outside into the afternoon sun. The air smelled like distant rain and blooming lilacs, familiar and new all at once. As we walked down the stairs with the first load of boxes, his fingers brushed against mine, then curled around them. No one said anything. We didn't need to, because that quiet act, a hand held tightly, keys exchanged, an inside joke about toast, said everything. This wasn't the end of a chapter. It was the start of our story. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't scared of where it might go.